The Sufi Message of Hazrat Inayat Khan, Volume 2, The Mysticism of Sound, Centennial Edition. The Music of the Spheres 1. By this title, I do not wish to encourage any superstition or any ideas that might attract people into the fields of curiosity. But in this subject, I wish to direct the attention of those who search for truth toward the law of music, which is working throughout the whole universe, and which, in other words, may be called the law of life, the sense of proportion, the law of harmony, the law which brings about balance, the law which is hidden behind all aspects of life, and which is holding this universe intact and working out its destiny through the whole universe, fulfilling its purpose. Music, as we know it in our everyday language, is only a miniature which our intelligence has grasped from what that music or harmony of the whole universe which is working behind us. The music of the universe is the background of the little picture which we call music. Our sense of music, our attraction to music, shows that music is in the depths of our being. Music is behind the working of the whole universe. Music is not only life's greatest object, but music is life itself. Hafiz, our great and most wonderful poet of Persia, says, "Many say that life entered the human body by the help of music. But the truth is that life itself is music." And I would like to tell you what made him say this. There exists in the East a mythological legend that God made a statue of clay in God's own image, and asked the soul to enter into it. But the soul refused to enter into this prison, for its nature is to fly about freely and not to be limited and bound to any sort of captivity. The soul did not wish in the least to enter this prison. Then God asked the angels to play their music, and as the angels played, the soul was moved to ecstasy, and through that ecstasy, in order to make this music more clear to itself, it entered the body. It is a beautiful legend, and much more beautiful is its mystery. The interpretation of this legend explains to us two great laws. One is that freedom is the nature of the soul, and for the soul, the whole tragedy of life is in the absence of that freedom which belongs to its original nature. And the next mystery that this legend reveals to us is that the only reason why the soul has entered this body of clay or matter is to experience this music of life and to make this music clear to itself. And when we sum up these two great mysteries, the third mystery, which is the mystery of all mysteries, comes to our mind, which is that the unlimited part of ourselves becomes limited and earthbound for the purpose of making this life, which is the outward life, more intelligible. Therefore, there is one loss and one gain. The loss is the loss of freedom, and the gain is the experience of life, which is fully gained by coming to this limitation of life, which we call the life of an individual. What makes us feel drawn to music is that our whole being is music. Our mind, our body, the nature in which we live, the nature which has made us, all that is beneath and around us, it is all music. And as we are close to all this music, and live and move and have our being in music, therefore, it interests us and attracts our attention and gives us pleasure because it corresponds with the rhythm and tone which is keeping the mechanism of our whole being intact. What pleases us in any of our arts, whether drawing, painting, carving, architecture, or sculpture, And what interests us in poetry is all the harmony behind it, which is music. It is music which poetry suggests to us the rhythm in the poetry, or the harmony of ideas and of the phrases. Besides this, in painting and in drawing, it is our sense of proportion and our sense of harmony which gives us all the pleasure we gain in admiring art. And at the same time, what appeals to us is being near to nature, is nature's music. And nature's music is more perfect than that of art. It gives us a sense of exaltation to be moving about in the woods, and to be looking at the green, and to be standing near the running water, which has its rhythm and which has its tone, and it is harmony. And the singing of the branches in the forest, and the rising and falling of the waves, it all has its music. And once we contemplate and become one with nature, our hearts open to its music. We say, I enjoy nature. But what is it in nature that we enjoy? It is its music. Something in us has been touched by the rhythmic movement, by the perfect harmony which is so little to be found in the artificial life of ours, which lifts one up and makes one feel that it is the real temple, the true religion. One moment standing in the midst of nature with open heart is a whole lifetime if one is in tune with nature. When one looks at the cosmos, the movements of the stars and planets, the laws of vibration and rhythm, all perfect and unchanging, it shows the cosmic system is working by the law of music, the law of harmony. And when that harmony in the cosmic system is in any way lacking in proportion, then disasters in the world come, and its influence is seen in many destructive forces which manifest in the world. The whole astrological law and the science of magic and mysticism behind it, if there is any principle upon which it is based, it is music. Therefore, the most illuminated souls who have lived in this world, like the greatest of all prophets of India, their whole life was music. From the miniature music which we understand, they expanded to the whole universe of music. And in that way, they were able to inspire. And those who get the key to the music of the whole working of life, it is they who become intuitive. It is they who have inspiration. It is they to whom revelations manifest, for then their language becomes music. Every person who comes to us, every object we see is revealing, but in what form? It tells us its character, nature, and secret. Everyone tells us their past, present, and future, but in what way? Every presence explains to us all that it contains in what manner? In the form of music, if only one can hear it. There is no other language. It is rhythm, it is tone. We hear it, but we do not hear it with our ears. A friendly person shows harmony in the voice, in words, movements, and manner. An unfriendly person in every movement, glance, and expression and walk. In everything that person will show inharmony if one can only see it. I used to amuse myself in India with a friend who became cross very easily. When he came before me, I would say, "Are you cross today?" He would say, "Now how did you know that I was cross today?" I said, "Your turban tells me. The way you tie your turban does not show harmony." One's every action shows a harmonious and inharmonious attitude. There are many things one can perceive in handwriting, but the principal thing in reading handwriting is the harmonious or inharmonious curve. It almost speaks to you and tells you the mood in which the person wrote. Handwriting tells you many things, the grade of evolution of the writer, the attitude towards life, character, and mood in writing. You do not need to read the letter. You only have to see the handwriting, for line and curve will show the person to be either harmonious or inharmonious, if one can only see it. Friends, in every living being, you can see this. And if one sees with an open insight into the nature of things, that person will read this even in the tree that bears fruit or flower, and what music it expresses. You can see from the attitude of a person whether that person will prove to be your friend or will, in the end, be your enemy. You do not have to wait until the end. You can see it at the first glance whether the person is inclined to be friendly or not. Because every person is music, perpetual music, continually going on day and night. And that music, your intuitive faculty can hear. And that is the reason why one person is repellent and others attract you so much. It is the music a person expresses. One's whole atmosphere is charged with it. There is a story of Omar, the well-known Caliph of Arabia. Someone who wanted to harm Omar was looking for him, and he heard that Omar did not live in places, although he was the king. He spent most of the time in nature. This man was very glad to think that now he would have every opportunity to accomplish his object. As the man approached the place where Omar was sitting, the nearer he came, the more his attitude became changed, until in the end he dropped the dagger which was in his hand and said, "I cannot harm you. Tell me, what is that power in you that keeps me from accomplishing the object which I had come to accomplish?" Omar said, "My at-one-ment with God." No doubt it is a religious term, but what is that at-one-ment with God? It is being in tune with the infinite, in harmony with the whole universe. In plain words, Omar was the receptacle of the music of the whole universe. The great charm that the personalities of the holy ones have shown in all ages has been their response to the music of the whole being. That has been the secret why they have become the friends of their worst enemies. But it is not only the power of the holy ones. This manifests in every person to a greater or smaller degree. Everyone shows harmony or inharmony, according to how one is open to the music of the universe. The more one is open to all that is beautiful and harmonious, the more one's life is tuned to that universal harmony. The more one will show a friendly attitude to everyone one meets. One's very atmosphere will create music round about one. The difference between the material and the spiritual point of view is that the material point of view sees matter as the first thing, and from this, intelligence and beauty and all else evolving afterwards. From the spiritual point of view, we see the intelligence and beauty first, and from it comes all that exists. From a spiritual point of view, we see that one considers last the same as first, and therefore, in the essence of this whole being, there is music as its basis, as one can see that in the essence of the seed of the rose, there is the rose itself. Its fragrance, form, and beauty, although in the seed is not yet manifest, at the same time, in essence, it is there. And one who tunes oneself not only to the external, but to the inner being and to the essence of all things, gets an insight into the essence of the whole being. And therefore, that fragrance and flower which one sees in the rose, to that same extent, one can find and enjoy it even in the seed. The great error of this age is that activity has increased so much that there is very little margin left in one's everyday life for repose. And repose is the secret of all contemplation and meditation. The secret of getting in tune with that aspect of life which is the essence of all things. When one is not accustomed to take repose, one does not know what is behind one's own being. This condition is experienced by first preparing the body by purification, and the mind also by means of purification. By making the senses finer, one is able to tune one's soul with that whole being. It seems complex, and yet it is so simple. When one is open to one's tried friends in life, and one knows so much about the friend, it is only the opening of the heart. It is only at one-ment with one's friend. We know the friend's faults and merits. We know how to experience and enjoy friendship. When there is hatred and prejudice and bitterness, there is a loss of understanding. The deeper the person, the more friends that person has. It is smallness, narrowness, lack of spiritual development, which makes a person exclusive, distant, and different from others. That person feels superior, greater, and better than others. The friendly attitude seems to have been lost. In that way, one cuts oneself apart from others, and in this lies tragedy. That person is never happy. Those who are happy are the ones who are ready to be friends with all. Their outlook on life is friendly. They are not only friendly to people, but also to objects and conditions. It is by this attitude of friendship that one expands and breaks those walls which keep one in prison. And by breaking these walls, one experiences at one-ment with the Absolute. And this at one-ment with the Absolute manifests as the music of the spheres. And this one experiences on all sides, in the beauties of nature, color of flowers, everything one sees, every person one meets. In the hours of contemplation and solitude, and in the hours when one is in the midst of the world, always the music is there. Always one is enjoying its harmony.